Hi. Hi, everyone. We are here live with you, live streaming on Facebook today. I am Lisa Gardner. I am a marketing and brand strategist, and I work with creative entrepreneurs. And I thought of doing this conversations with creatives so that we could change the conversation a little bit, or at least have more of a joyful conversation around creativity in these kind of trying times that we have. So today I'm here with Art Gray.
Hey everybody.
He is a architectural photographer. And when I met Art, it was in the 80s. I was the editor of a very, very small magazine. We didn't have much budget. And thank God, Art's pricing was a wee bit smaller back then in the 80s than it is now. So I was really able to get some amazing cover shots. We were able to do some creative work. And it was kind of serendipity because Art went on to become this famous architectural photographer. And we have stayed friends, I'm so happy to say. And as a lover of architecture myself, I really enjoyed seeing the work that he does, such as what we're going to look at today. That's from the design firm named Minarc, M-I-N-A-R-C, Minarc Design. So while I always love all the photos that Art takes, they're stunning, of the buildings, my favorite shots are always when he turns the camera away from the buildings and inside of the buildings to show the work, the lives that are taking place in these buildings, because they are built for people to live in. And I think sometimes architectural photographers forget that, but Art always keeps that in mind, and he gets the most amazing shots of lifestyle. And so that's what we're really here to talk about today, is the visual storytelling that goes on with Art's work and how you can take some tips and trends from it. So, hey, Art.
Hey there.
Welcome.
How are you? I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. So I think that we'll just get right into it, and you can kind of tell us a little bit more about yourself as we go on.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Sure.
I'm going to share the screen.
All right. So the work we've decided to show here, Lisa's going to do a bit of a slideshow, is work from one of my favorite architecture firms I work for, a Santa Monica-based architecture firm. The principals are from Iceland, Erla and Trygve. And they've also become good friends of mine over the past, more than 15 years I've been shooting for them. So I have quite a body of work of many houses they've done here in Los Angeles as well as in Iceland. So you'll see a little bit of that here. And we decided we would start off today with kind of what we call the money shot. Like if you have to tell the story in one shot, what would that shot be? And I think it's probably why I get along so well with these architects, because they always feel the same thing. There's always one good shot, and we always find that. This is actually a house just down the street from me here in Venice, right off of Abbot Kinney Boulevard. And the architecture firm is also a super eco-friendly environmental design group. And they actually build these houses with a modular product that they design. And so this is an example. Their modular business is called M&M Mod. And this house, pretty small house, kind of put together almost like Lego blocks with a modular product that actually Lisa and I could do with a screw gun, the way it all goes together. It's really a pretty spectacular way to build a house. Anyhow, so this one, I'm literally standing on a ladder right off of Abbot Kinney Boulevard, peeking over the fence, and this is what we call the magic hour. You wait till that perfect time when the light outside dims and the outside starts to glow. And in this case, you can kind of see every aspect of the house. They're real big on the idea of bringing kind of how lifestyle kind of dictates the form and function of the house. And they kind of meld those two together, always bringing in kind of inside-outside living. And, here in Southern California, that's pretty much year-round.
Yeah.
So here, the whole wall of glass folds away. There's the outdoor fireplace, outdoor dining table. They even designed the dining table you see there and the coffee table. And interestingly enough, the kitchen made with recycled rubber. So they use a lot of recycled products in what they design as well.
So again, as an editor of the magazine, I would always call this the establishing shot, because the reader or the person needs to see what it is. Because sometimes it bothers me when I'm looking at things and I don't know where that thing is and I can't figure out where it is. So the establishing shot, this one's such a good one because if we were going to go back through it,
Right.
you know, and you took separate shots and you fragmented it, I would be able then to tell where those things were in relation to the photo.
Right. And we always, and as a photographer, you always want that. You always want that double page spread, the big opening double page horizontal shot. So
absolutely,
that's exactly how that was used.
Yeah.
So this gets into what Lisa talked about, how she said she likes it when the camera kind of turns inside and we see how the lifestyle of the people that live in the house, you know, how that happens. And you're right. A lot of times, if you're just strictly shooting for an architect, sometimes you're kind of rushed and you just get architecture. So in this case, the owners were really good friends with the architects, and they have 2 kids, and they really use the house. They use every aspect of it, and it was completely designed around how they use it. So they really like to swim. The girl really likes to read, so there's actually a reading nook right outside of her bedroom.
Beautiful.
And then in this case, they really like to swim. So I said, okay, kids, do what you do. So, you know, we spent a good majority of time, you know, getting the right basketball shot. And but again, the house looks really good behind it. But it's kind of nice to see how the house blends with the outside, and you really get
a little bit for people who are taking pictures of their kids at home too, because you said that shot took you a little while to get the high five ones.
Right. Well, there's lots of stories about that. What I always say, you know, because in certain cases, maybe you're taking pictures because you're going to list your house on Airbnb or whatever those kind of sites are, or you're trying to get in a magazine, so you're trying to tease an editor. I always try to figure the best time of day that like that room or that space gets the best light. And in this case, like I think we talked about the pool. Like I knew it always looks good in Southern California. You want the sparkly blue pool, you know, the Malibu blue color. So that in this case happened at noon. So I was ready. We had the house all perfect and swept up all the leaves and got the leaves out of the pool. And then the kids just had fun. And I mean, we probably did this shot, you know, 20 times or so until we got the perfect high five.
But then it was like 4 o'clock. No, I'm just
kidding. No, I can't waste that much time. But by 4 o'clock, you can see the lights a little different, and that's when it worked perfect for the boy to play basketball.
But that's so interesting because, like, I, as an amateur photographer, I never will take a picture at noon. So that's really, really interesting about the pool, though, I thought. And so,
you know, there's
a good tip.
I specifically work with Interior Design magazine. I'm a contributor there, and they've been so supportive of me over the years. For like 20 years now. And the editor likes to swim a lot, so she always likes a good pool shot. And she had mentioned once, I think it was Cindy, who said, she's not such a fan of the twilight pool shots because it looks a little scary to swim at night. So she always liked the bright blue sky, sparkly pool. So I always try to keep that in mind.
Pure happiness. I'm sorry. Right. It's pure.
But also, it's also in mentioning that if you are specifically targeting where you want a project to go, in this case, the architects and the owners were interested in having their house featured in Dwell, which is a magazine, you know, kind of about modern living. So, you know, this being a modular house, eco-friendly design with all sorts of solar panels, all kinds of things going on here. Dwell likes to see a lot of people in their shots. If I'm shooting for like a strict architecture magazine, not so much. So we knew that going in, and luckily for me, the kids were super agreeable, and we had a lot of fun with it. I enjoyed, you know, spending time with them. And although a tip of the day, don't stand under the basketball hoop when the kid's shooting hoops with the camera.
Well, that's fun. That's something you learn pretty fast, I'm sure.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to add too, like go back to the pool shot.
Okay.
So, 2 things here. Before I started shooting on my own, I apprenticed with all different kinds of photographers. But one of the highlights of my assisting career, you know, 30 years ago, I worked with the famous Herb Ritz, fashion celebrity photographer. Amazing man, super nice man. And I assisted on an amazing shoot, cover of Vogue, Malibu Beach with Julia Roberts before she was a household name. And I think he shot like 650 rolls of film that day. And I was the guy, like, that was the film days, you know, taking the film out of the boxes. And I literally had bloody fingers at the end of that day. But the point being, there was no embarrassment of like, he just shot a lot of film, and you know, he got the perfect shot of Julia running in the surf. And so I just kind of learned at that point, you can just shoot a lot and edit later. Because I think I told you the other day, I asked an assistant, I was on a pretty fancy shoot for me. I was excited, and I wanted, a picture of me standing there. And I handed my phone to my assistant, and he just took one, and my eyes were closed. So,
and that's so funny. We were talking
Yeah.
about with digital, because you might as well just take a million pictures, because
yeah, why not? I mean,
you're not gonna, you don't have to go and develop them or anything.
right.
So this one's all about kind of lighting and
Yes.
framing a shot.
Yes. So in this case, what I did with this family, because I always, the other thing I recommend is kind of scouting the project ahead of time. And two things that matter: time of day and season. So at certain times of the year, the sun does not streak in like that.
Right.
I knew we were shooting in the fall, sun's lower, so that would happen. And I knew at I think this was maybe the 3 o'clock shot. And so when I scout a house, I go through and make a list, and we kind of, we'll shoot the kitchen at 10, we'll shoot the dining room at 12, and we kind of go through. And I knew, this particular shot, it would be great. And the young boy said, well, I really love sitting in that chair. And I said, well, go grab your favorite book and sit in the chair. And I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better pose. He just settled in and started reading. And I think we even have another shot of this where then I said, oh my God, this looks amazing. And there was a second store balcony. So I went upstairs and shot down.
Right.
And but again, this is a good lifestyle shot too here, because it's a family of 4 that sit in that conversation pit with the coffee table designed by the architects, and they eat popcorn, and that big wooden thing opens and there's a TV inside.
That's just
so
yes.
We had to pop the popcorn and so.
And again, like the point of bringing some of this lifestyle into a home that is very minimal too, it really does play up all of those little tiny elements. So every single element becomes important. So when you did the kitchen shot, though, I thought it was really interesting that you said to have nothing in that kitchen really, well, one, doesn't give it that scale that you want, and it kind of doesn't give it that life. You need a little bit of life in these photos, right?
Yeah, so we decided, we stood there, I did a few shots of the kitchen, and it's impeccably perfect design kitchen. Yeah. And actually all custom. And kind of that blue color specifically relates to, as I mentioned, the architecture from Iceland. And they always bring a little bit of Iceland into their design when you get a house designed by them. And so in this case, it's kind of like, kind of like the glacier blue color. Yeah, so,
absolutely.
But so we decided they like to cook, so let's make soup. So the architect went off to Gelson's and came back with a whole bag of stuff and wine and bread, and so we made soup. That's and great. So stuff like that.
It just brings life. And again, like this one too, bringing life in. So it's a little bit out of focus. It probably isn't like that. It just is, or it looks like it is on my.
I have to put my glasses on. Everything's out of focus for me. Well, this is fun. This is actually one of the projects in Iceland by the Minarc Group, and this is actually, they designed a house for their parents, a summer house. So it's out in the country, in the middle kind of nowhere. Beautiful spot of the world. And again, lighting is important. In the summer I was there, the sun doesn't set. So I think we woke the kids up, and this may have been like, 10, 11 at night, and looks like it's daytime. Because later we actually they have two lovely young girls. We had them sit in the hot tub that's outside, because when you live in Iceland, it's all about water. Everybody has a hot tub. I think we woken up at like 3 a.m. to get the perfect light on the hot tub shot.
I think that is so cute.
Yeah, and then it was kind of fun having the scale. They have this big glass door that slides open, and it was just great to see Andrea push it like that. So.
But again, like what I like about it is that your kids don't have to be standing there. Have them doing something, have them living in the house and interacting with it to make it like more interesting. For even later on, when you look back at these pictures, maybe you'll move on from that house and your family will have been that age, and you'll have this amazing group of memories from that age group. So
I probably have more photos of Erlen Trygve's 2 daughters than any humans in my life, because we put them in every shot because they look great.
That's good. I mean, but then I love this one too with nobody in it, because my fantasy goes right there. I'm like, oh yes, I want to be there, please. Yes, please.
So this is a great story. This is again a house by Minarc, and it's on the beach in Malibu. Those houses you see that literally hang over the edge on a cliff, and they just have stilts down to the water. So at high tide, the water is literally under the living room. So this is a small balcony off the back. And again, the important part about scouting ahead of time. So I'd been there before. We had a dinner with the owner, who was a recently widowed older lady, really funny lady. And she loves to sit on her balcony and have a cocktail. But the interesting thing, you think Malibu sunsets, but in Malibu actually faces south. So the sun is actually setting that way. So there was never a good sunset shot. So I knew we had to capture this view
Yeah.
you know, before sunset. So it was more like happy hours time, which was kind of perfect because that's where
It
she
looks
sits
great.
to have, I think it was a martini. Is that what we made? Yes.
It looks like a martini.
Yes.
Yeah, again, okay, so
I think
takeaway.
those are my glasses on that table too.
So the takeaway is to kind of like be cognizant of your house and what it's going through of different seasons and different times of the day too.
Well,
To
one
look
thing I always ask people when I walk in, and sometimes, you know, I don't get to meet the owners. If I'm flying across the country or to another, wherever I go, you know, the owners aren't even home.
yeah,
But if I get the chance, I usually ask them first thing when I introduce myself is I say, what's your favorite room and what is your favorite time of day? Which
got
leads us to this shot.
this. Yes.
So this is just right. This is like right in the city, right down the street from the Beverly Center in
Mm.
West Hollywood, and you would have no idea.
Mhm.
So again, it's a Minarc modular house, and this one had this really great kind of rooftop patio off of the second story where the bedrooms are. So not a typical thing in a house.
Right.
And I was just fascinated. They used these panels to come down to block the sun, and they were all these different shades. And I think the owner was trying to stay out of my way, so she was hiding up there. And when I had scouted the house, I knew at 4 o'clock was the perfect time because I think this was in the winter, so the sun's pretty low, and there was that kind of golden. And there's really you can't really see the sunset in this house, but I knew the trees would be glistening.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I was setting up, and she's like, "Oh, you want me to get out of the shot?" And I'm like,
No.
"Sit back down." And then she goes, "Mind if I, pour myself a glass of wine?" And I'm like, "I mean, it's perfect."
No, I think that's a perfect shot. I would not have liked that shot. I think by itself, it wouldn't have given.
And then
me
the dog wandered in, which was just perfect. So.
And thank God the dog is wearing a red tag, so it all ties in.
Because I tried all day to get a picture of that dog, and it wasn't cooperating. So.
Obviously, he only cares about her art. That might be why. So let's talk about sunsets. So Art is known for his sunset shots on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes. Well, I live here at the beach. It's just right down there, 2 blocks away. So I swim every day, pretty much year round. And about 10 years ago, I started taking care of my mom, and I would take her for a walk every day down on the boardwalk down there. And I just started bringing my camera and taking sunset shots. So they're all kind of from the same spot, just straight in front of my house. And as we are here, promoting ourselves and what we do, I was surprised how helpful this has been in my career. So as Lisa here helps me kind of market myself, and I get a lot of comments on the sunset shots when they're spectacular, as they almost always are. And but people don't really say anything. And sometimes people are like, "Oh my God, Art and his sunsets. Why does he take so many sunset shots?" But I can be at the grocery store and I run into one of my clients, because most of my clients are local, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, that sunset shot the other night." And then they say, "Oh, and by the way, I have a job for you." And then just before we signed on today, one of my other favorite clients called me and said, "I keep seeing all your sunset shots, and we have this house on Hermosa Beach. You have to be the guy to shoot it." So I just booked a job, 20 minutes ago because of these shots.
Okay, so this brings a point of marketing up for me too.
Yeah.
People are afraid to put themselves on their business pages and stuff.
Yeah.
I really think the whole point of social media in the very beginning was that we would be able to have some point of entry into a conversation with somebody. So there would be something about their personal, that you would see their kids on Facebook, or then Instagram got so stuffy, and everybody had to stay in their lane and be only about what they were about. And I really think, and this is part of why this conversation with creatives is so important to me personally too, because it lets me be able to talk about anything and anybody and talk to anybody. It doesn't have to be about one specific thing. It can be about anything. Like when we talk to a kitchen designer in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So anyway, your Instagram, if you are consistent like Art is with his sunsets and he becomes known for it, I think your Instagram can be like that. There's a couple things, just stay consistent with what the personal thing is you show. Like for me, I love to bake bread. So my bread, people will know.
It is seriously the best bread. I know. I've sampled it.
They'll be like, "Oh my gosh, your bread the other day." That was so there's a point of entry for conversation. That's really what I'm saying about that.
Oh, wait, we have to go back to the sunset shot, because it's funny. You obviously deep dove into my Instagram page to find these. I'm trying to remember where they are. But that actually, the surfer is actually one of my clients.
Oh, okay.
I posted it.
Right.
I literally posted it, and that night he's like, "Dude, that was me." So it kind of just goes to show people that I had no idea he was ever even looking at my Instagram page.
That's
But
so
obviously,
funny. How did he know it was him? That's what I want.
he was like the only guy out. So
Well,
yeah.
okay, on
So
that
obviously,
day.
it
So he must have
wasn't a
looked
good surf
great.
day. You can tell.
It's incredible looking though, but
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful.
And this also brings up
In
another
the
point.
summer, totally.
If depending upon what you're taking photos for and what
Mhm.
the idea is behind it or the use of it, I have to say, good old iPhone is
Yeah,
really pretty darn good
yeah.
because I think the two smaller shots here on my left are
Mhm.
my good camera. I shoot with Canon, but I think the one on the right was literally just an iPhone shot.
Mm.
And what I like about this, and as a tool, if we're talking like photography tips, this has become such an invaluable tool. So I could get to any of these projects, back up to any of those projects, and I'll walk through with Erlen Trigby of Minarc, and we literally take pictures as we walk through, and then we can kind of
Right.
decide like, oh, this is the best angle. Because
Good
right,
documenting, good
it's a
documenting.
really good tool. At first I was really intimidated by it, thinking this is going to take over my career, but it's
Mm.
only enhanced it and made it better.
No, and what they say about
Yeah,
cameras is the best camera that
yeah.
you can buy or use is the one that you
One you're
have
using, right,
on you,
right,
right?
yeah.
Because
Because
it does
honestly,
no good if it's in your closet.
I get that question a lot, like, "Oh, what camera should I
Which is
get?"
the best one?
They're all, I mean, they're pretty much
They're
all
all good.
equal at this point, and
Yeah,
whatever one that you feel comfortable with, really.
yeah.
So, I dove into Canon years ago, so that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I know, I know. So there's a lot of Canon people because
Case
they
in
need
point,
interchangeable lenses and
this
all.
is an iPhone shot.
Oh my God. And this one's amazing. So I put this in here because I also wanted to show everyone that you can have fun with things. Things should be playful and whimsical. And again, this is, I think, is another noon shot that you did.
Yeah, pretty
Um,
much midday we did the pool
yeah.
because actually at a certain point the house shaded the pool, so then we wouldn't have the sparkly blue water.
Oh, good.
And as we talked yesterday, a lot of the projects I do here in Los Angeles, I literally sign contracts that I'm not allowed to show anybody the photos because it's a
Mm.
famous person's house or a magazine has a contract to show it first.
Mhm.
So the iPhone becomes a tool to use to get some Instagram, some marketing, because the architect,
Mhm.
of course, wants to show people what they're doing, and people tend to like to follow what I'm doing. So it's like, oh, this is what I'm doing today. And in this case, we finished, we were shooting the pool, which I shot perfectly. I actually had, and we'll bring this up next, my ode to Hockney. If there's a good pool, I always try to, knock off that Hockney shot, which I was so
Right.
inspired by as a kid to come to California.
Right.
And so these are, again, the daughters of the Icelandic architects. And
Mhm.
so they were horsing around doing handstands. And, so this is the way we were able to post, hey, we were working on this cool job, but we didn't show the house. So
Yeah.
that way
Right.
the magazine gets their
Right.
scoop. And
Yeah, we were talking about
spoil
that
it. Yeah.
because the same thing with wedding photographers and
Yeah.
stuff that are putting it out for a wedding magazine. So what they'll do is do a little snippet of the tabletop or something like
Right.
that, and put
So
it on
we'll
their
we'll
Instagram and say sneak peek or something.
right. Yeah. Because
Right.
So
Right.
that's proven that again, the iPhone's become
Cool.
a really strong tool on photo shoots.
Very much so.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So just FYI, Art now has a webinar. I mean, not webinar, a website. A webinar.
Finally,
Yes.
10
I'm
years
so
in the making.
excited for it. So that's how we can all get in touch with Art.
Right.
And I think I'm going to stop sharing on this one.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
No, I have not been able to see any Facebook comments at all. Oh, well, here
Oh,
they
there's
are.
a ton.
So that I
There's a
can- oh,
bunch.
thanks. Were there any questions? Because I want to make sure that I'm not missing any questions.
Uh,
Let me take a look. Okay, good.
there's a lot of questions. Holy cow.
There's just a lot of love. There's a lot of love.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go back because share that screen and just show the
Somebody said they like my hair. They usually get the opposite.
Someone like your hair. Now, unfortunately, I kind of I couldn't take one shot of it, so you're going to see a couple
Okay.
shots from Hockney. I just grabbed this, so that's the one on the right was the one that.
Yeah. So I most every house I shoot, or again in hotels, I shoot a lot of hotels. There's always a pool, and so this has always kind of been the inspiration. So I literally have booked many jobs because people see my pool shots, and then they hire me because they know they're going to get a good pool shot. So that's proven to be like
so you're known for, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
You're known for your water. You don't happen to be a Pisces, are you? Are you a water sign?
No, Sagittarian, but I swim every day, so there you go. So, or surf.
You do.
As I like to say,
you live your truth.
Yeah, my tagline is what is it? What is it now?
You have a tagline?
Have camera, will travel, hope for surf.
As long as there's a pool, hope for surf. That's good. No, your other one is always paddle.
Keep paddling.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Especially these days.
Another fellow photographer, amazing photographer, is here watching, and
Oh, nice. Hello.
Christopherson is growing his hair out, so you probably has some kind of
There you go.
kin. You're almost there.
And one of my high school friends is on, so that's
excellent. This is so fantastic. Now, Liza Rosen asks, did you always know you wanted to be a photographer? It's a good question.
No, I went to architecture school.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was my very last semester of architecture school. My mom bought me a camera, and I stayed an extra term to fill my art credits, I went to University of Michigan. And the minute I saw, the print come up in the tray, I was kind of hooked. But I was like, oh,
that is a very magical moment.
I can't tell mom I want to switch majors now. I'm like 4 years into the 5-year program. So but what led to it was when I graduated, I immediately drove here and started looking for work in Los Angeles, and I worked for an architecture lighting designer. And so, as you can see, all we've talked about today basically is light, and I learned a lot from that man.
Right.
And that led to photography. I helped him teach some classes at UCLA, and I started taking photo classes at UCLA at night. And then I decided to go to photography school. I went to Brooks Institute up in Santa Barbara, and I was already older, so they just basically it was kind of great. They assigned me to the architects in Santa Barbara, and all my projects were just to go shoot all the architects' projects.
See, I think that's that's just what's called like synergy, and like you never know where things will take you. So just kind of go with your education and with things that just like drive your passion. And I believe that they will all fit in together. I mean, if that's not a big life lesson.
Well, it maybe surprises new clients, but the people that know me know my story. But one thing I also always ask the architect, because I shoot a lot of big projects. This past week, I've been shooting like these huge medical campuses and things. I asked for the blueprint or floor plan, so I can start mapping out my shots. Again, knowing which way is north, south, east, so I can start planning the shoot around where the sun goes. Again, following the light. So
let me just go through a couple. There's a lot of questions here, actually.
Oh, wow.
So someone said, oh, that's interesting. How do you get the recessed lights in the kitchen to look so crisp? Probably, isn't that because it's hard to do, right? Because then she's thinking that they probably refract or something when you try to get.
Well, again, in the daytime, the shutter speed is pretty quick. So it's if you're doing long night shots, a lot of times the lights are too bright. And actually, Lisa and I had this talk the other day. We had a little birthday dinner for Lisa in my backyard, and there's great lighting, but it didn't start that way because it's all about dimmers. One thing I always ask too is, do these lights dim? And I usually ask where the fuse box is. And in some cases, to answer a simple way to talk about that is if the lights are too bright, I'll literally have my assistant off to the side at the light switch. I'll take the picture, and halfway through the exposure, he turns the lights off so that they're not too bright.
Right. That's amazing. That's a great tip.
And then the other little tip, as I told you, I always have in my backpack, I always have 15-watt bulbs.
Right. So you can change the bulb.
A dirt flame in my trunk in case I need a fire in the fireplace. So
a dirt flame. That's so fantastic. And so, yes, Anne, like that water really was that shade of blue. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So there was one more question here I thought interesting.
And no, Anne, I have not done any underwater photography, but kind of. We took I was shooting with a buddy of mine on the island of Nevis in the wherever that is, the West Indies, and we took a camera out on a surfboard, and we shot a guy paddle surfing for the resort. So that nowadays you just use a GoPro. So what I would do, I would bring a separate GoPro camera, which are waterproof, and actually when I go surfing with my buddies, he has one on the surfboard, which is kind of fun.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've done that a little bit. Sometimes I shoot a lot of houses, usually on a lake or somewhere on the ocean. I've been on Lake Austin with a camera, paddled out in a kayak, and took photos of the house it was pretty rocky, so it didn't work so well. But
well, you've shot a lot of different places, and we'll end like with one.
Oh, what are we talking about? Hello. Not quite sure what we're supposed to talk about now.
Hold on. Here I am.
Where'd you go?
Here I am.
Okay.
Okay. So two things are happening here. StreamYard is new, and I have to work on my laptop, which is I got. Your favorite place to shoot, because you've done like all of the, the Iceland and the. Jakarta, and I don't know. I guess it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. There was one summer, I went from Iceland to Buenos Aires to Jakarta. That was a crazy year. So I can only look forward to more years like that. This year's I haven't gone anywhere, so it's,
I think your
looking
favorite
forward.
place to shoot is Los Angeles.
Well, yeah.
You
Although
do. There's so much here.
I would have to say Iceland, because the best part is in the
So
summer,
gorgeous there.
when you're there, June, July, the sun doesn't set. So that beautiful time of day where the light's gorgeous, it
Right.
pretty much lasts all night.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it
So
looks so gorgeous there.
we usually, you can like have dinner and then shoot for another 8 hours, and it's, it's like amazing. So
Oh,
I never really sleep when I'm there.
that's like the type A's person's,
I know.
dream
Yeah.
of just keep working.
Exactly. Well, that's me. So
Oh no,
everybody knows that. Yeah.
no. So
Yeah,
you have a good balance in life. So I just
I
want
did
everybody
go
to know.
surfing while I was in Iceland, and I did surf on summer solstice,
Oh, that's nice.
which that probably was the best experience of my life. So
I think did
And I took
we have a
pictures of
shot?
it.
I think I probably had a shot from one of those earlier versions of my PowerPoint. But I kind of want to let everybody know, because they're saying like, oh, they'd like to see more of this. So this,
you can go to my website.
no, that this will stay up on my Facebook page. This will stay there. It should stay there unless something happens. It should be posted to there. So if you want to look at this later and refer back to it, of course, you can look at all of Art's channels. His Instagram is gorgeous. Facebook, you're on LinkedIn.
I appreciate a deep dive into Instagram. I like it when people go deep in and find stuff and comment.
Right. So Kim, you've got a lot of assistants possible here.
Yeah.
So
that's always a tough call. Who gets to go?
Okay. So good. This is fantastic. I really enjoyed hearing all of this. I think there was a lot of good tips and stuff. And beautiful photos, of course. God, we could do this one again with a whole nother set.
Oh, I know. There's a whole other,
And thank you to Minarc for creating such beautiful work.
Thank you.
Keeping
me alive all these years.
And for having art documented. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So so I won't be back here next week, because next week's kind of a crazy week. And I will be back here the next week with, I'm hoping, with is her Tribby? It's Twibby.
Tibby.
I can never say it right. Say it again.
Tibby.
Yes. So Tibby Dunbar, yes, from Bull Top. She really taxes all of my my comprehensive learning. So yes, from Bull Top. So hopefully she will be here the week after that on Wednesday.
Amazing lady, and the Bull Top, the amazing German design kitchens, which are stunning. And,
yes, they're beautiful.
I shoot their showrooms, and she involves me in these art installations she does, which I recently just shot one and posted, which you came to actually.
Yes.
Yes, the picture you took of me is there. So
yeah, the one that the very beginning photo on the PowerPoint was Art taking pictures there. Yes.
Yeah. My action shots.
yeah. So I'll go around and take pictures of Art. So I'm like I am kind of an assistant. So anyway.
Kind of more like a groupie actually, but that's fine.
Okay, it's devolving from now. Okay. So wait, sorry if it's been said, but how did you both go about promoting your businesses? Oh my goodness, that's a lot. That's a whole nother conversation.
I listened to her. She has really good advice.
I do
marketing good advice for 25 years.
Marketing and brand strategy for creative entrepreneurs, and I do a lot more of it online now, because obviously we're all working online, and so I've got all of my stuff is all about working online. I do a couple workshops for marketing. Right now, I'm doing some writing workshops. So. November 2nd is going to be a free one. So take a look on my Facebook, like probably tomorrow or Friday, and you can sign up for that. And then
I would say make a website. Lisa has been asking.
Art has a website now, and so
10 years to do a website. So now I have that. Thanks to you.
All right. Well, so same place. I'm sorry, but not next week, but the week after, Wednesday at 4 o'clock, I'll be here with another amazing creative person. And I really loved this one with all of the photos. I love photos. I love architecture.
I got plenty of photos.
Perfect. We'll do another one. We need to have a follow-up.
Yeah.
So thank you all for being here. And again, like I said, it's going to stay up. And if you have any more questions in the comments, I will check them out later. I will talk to everybody. Everything. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Lisa.
Bye. Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.